Kesey, I would like to start with your abduction.
4 men made me open the safe. They took me as a hostage.
Were you able to see anything at all through the blindfold?
No.
Do you ever get annoyed that so much attention is paid to something like Gigli or maybe the films that you're not so proud of when you have these great performances in Changing Lanes, which is one of my favorite films, and
Thanks.
Boiler Room and Extract?
No, you know, it's part of the, you know, part of the sport of movies is like, you know, people like big movies and then they also like, you know, to cover. Nobody ever tells stories about the planes that land safely, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, we like the
Right, that's true.
That crash, and that's part of the drama, I think, and I think really. So I get that. I don't begrudge anybody that. That seems pretty reasonable, and I guess my only approach is to say, you know, yeah, you're right. Sometimes films work, sometimes they don't. I don't expect people who don't do that to sort of understand the nuances of why or how or the vagaries of chance, kind of. But I just hope to be like, you know, judged fairly when the next one comes out.
When someone endures an experience like this, there are often residual effects. Okay.
Just having a bad week.
I like to have a good cry at the nail salon. Why should we buy you a drink? You're looking good.
Excellent, thank you, sir. So, as a guy who makes his career sitting across from people asking questions, what is the art of a good interrogation?
First of all, I love that scene, and the art of good interrogation is getting information that you need to get. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, my character in that scene does not get what he needs to get.
Which I can relate to quite often, more than I like.
You might have a similar experience talking with various Hollywood people that don't want to say anything. But it's a conversation, and you want people to. You need information, and so it's about getting it out of people. Mm-hmm. Part of the fun for me on this film was working with Ben, who was not only the actor but also the director. So he was very much in a dual role, and it was very exciting to be a part of that.
I heard he's just a terrible actor to work with, terrible director.
He's horrible. He's a horrible person.
All right, we'll get that on. That'll be the promo. How is Ben Affleck as a director, and then Jon Hamm's going, oh, he's horrible. Horrible.
I've been quoted already as my disdain and hatred for Ben is well documented.
Which is not, he's handsome, he's good looking, and has a beautiful wife. I can totally understand.
Horrible person. There are over 300 bank robberies in Boston every year. Most of these professionals live in a 1 square mile neighborhood called Charlestown.
So do your parents still live here?
My mother moved away, my father, he don't get out much.
I love that your character in this movie kind of had a bit of a morality to him. Even though he's like, the crazy, unpredictable guy, you kind of feel bad because he's kind of, in a sense, paying for the sins of his parents because this is something that you pass down from generation. Yeah. Is it hard to empathize with a character like this or add that in there?
No, I think, it makes him human, makes him three-dimensional. That morality, as you call it, is kind of the crux of who he is, that moral code of loyalty, really, is what was so alluring to me. I think most people would want a friend like that. Doesn't mean necessarily so quite dangerous in what he does, but it's somebody in his heart who will do anything. He killed a man to protect his friend. Went to jail for 9 years to protect his friend. Well, wow, that's a pretty good goddamn friend, if you ask me. So there's something, you know what I mean? So there's something really kind of alluring about that sort of amount of loyalty.
I'm thinking about making a change.
Making a change. Either you got heat or you don't.
You used to hang around with Doug McCrae a little bit, huh?
How do you know Dougie?
I work for the FBI.
I'm putting this whole town in my rear view.
You grew up right here. Same rules that I did.
I hear you got a sweet new girlfriend.
Secret's this one.
Was there more pressure before Gone Baby Gone to prove yourself as a director, or now more pressure before this to prove that Gone Baby Gone wasn't a fluke?
That's a good question. But I guess they were, the answer, it's not that sexy, but there was pressure in both ways. The first time, I just didn't know whether or not I was going to be able to, the idea was it going to finish? Was it going to be a disaster? Was it, as an actor, was I going to be even able to do it? And then once I had done it, as you point out, it was like, well, this is something that you really can do. Did you get lucky? Do you know what you're doing? And but at the end of the day, and I've come to realize that it's everything. Every time it's all or nothing. You have to approach everything you do like that. Otherwise, you won't give your best. And so that's just the way I see it. I'm sure the next time I'll find some other way to feel as though it's the end of the world if I don't get it right.
If I think anything might happen to her, I'm gonna kill both of you.
Are you in love with me?
Yes.
Did Ben ever try to give directions or be the director with the masks on?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, he did.
How do you take direction from like the nun or the skulls, or how do you?
Well,
How does
it's
that
mostly
work?
the skulls because we shot that scene. That was a very complicated scene with lots of different setups. The first robbery that happens at the beginning of the movie. So we shot that for a good 3 or 4 days, and so he was in the mask a lot. And after a while, you get pretty anesthetized to what is initially very scary, and then you just take it for granted. But I did occasionally catch myself going, hang on a minute, this is a little ridiculous. He's standing there waving a gun around and sort of saying, I just feel like your character should be, yeah.
She's the one person that can give us the feds.
She didn't say anything. Get that in your head.
Whenever you first saw yourself in a mirror, that first time you saw that reflection of what you look like, what goes through your mind when you see that?
Well, it was very important to me to look authentic because she's so Boston,
Right.
But it's a very specific part of Boston, with the fake nails and the makeup that's so heavy. It's her mask. It's what she hides behind in a lot of ways. The tattoos I had, I think 12 or 14 tattoos. I think you only end up saying like 3. And I would do my makeup the night before and put on a ton of eyeliner. And I talked to the makeup artist to see if they were okay with this. And I said, because these girls will get ready, they'll go out for the night, they'll put on all the makeup, they'll come home, party so hard, just pass out, get up the next day and just add on more eyeliner. So I was happy with the way I looked, which is kind of
That's a
terrible
cool
thing to
reaction. That's
say.
not necessarily what I was expecting to hear.
This is the not screwing around crew. So find me something that looks like a print, because this not screwing around thing is about to go both ways.
I want to go with you.
I'm leaving with somebody else.
If we get jammed up, we'll hold them court on the street.
So as an actor who just a few years ago was not at the greatest point in his career, how do you relate to a guy in that character who wants to get out and start over and start clean?
My view on all the characters in the movie is kind of, well, for one thing, you look at a book and then you kind of start to put them together. And, the first thing that they kind of look like to me is I look at the character themes, right? I look at this idea of the most important thing about the movie to me is this notion that like the children pay for the sins of their parents, and that the past is kind of alive with us, and that our surroundings, kind of make us who we are. And then there's also this idea of change. Change and how difficult it is to change. In the case of this character, really, he's trying to change behavior that he's engaged in, that he knows is wrong, but that he just can't stop doing. And I think that's something everyone can identify with, whether it's, I don't know what, overeating or smoking or, I don't know, some people it's drinking, whoever knows what it is, or, video games. I mean, some of us, all of us have little things that we do that we think we like to change or do better, and that kind of universal feeling is sort of what I tapped into for this character.
I just want you to know that you're going to die in federal prison.
I'll see you again, this side or the other.